When it comes to Magic the Gathering, I have seen a lot of crazy things, but honestly, this has to be one of the craziest. An enchantment that can act as your commander? What? Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. If you watched my video from a couple of days ago, you will remember the Heroes of the Realm cards. We had the crazy Optimus Prime Transformer card, along with a Dragon Beholder combination, and this weird Dragon Angel Beast. Well, there's actually 4 cards in that series, and the 4th one was just released, and I mean, like, I don't know, maybe about 20 minutes ago. This is brand new, which is why the image that we have is not going to be perfect for this, but either way, let's take a look at it because it is quite nice. What we've got here is the Legend of Arena. All right, now if you're wondering, what exactly are these Hero of the Realm cards? I may not have covered it effectively enough in the previous video. Basically what these are is extremely limited edition Magic cards, right? These things, there are less than a dozen of each of these cards printed in known existence. Each individual card gets printed like maybe 10 copies. And they're given out to employees of Wizards of the Coast who have done an exemplary job. You've done a really good job as an employee, you get these special cards. Now, this is the 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken, this is the 3rd year that they have done these cards. And it is a little bit confusing because you'll see it says Heroes of the Realm 2018, but they're being released in 2019. And the reason for that is you have to wait for a full year to end to determine who the best employees were, who did a great job. So obviously you're going to have to do it basically a year behind. So 2019 will be rewarding good jobs done in 2018, and I assume this cycle will continue. So they've done 4 different cards. The other 3, as I mentioned, I covered in another video, so you can check that out. It's 2 videos before this one, essentially, if you want to go and dig into my catalog of videos. So let's take a look at the missing card, the Crazy Commando Enchantment. And that is the Legend of Arena. 1 white, 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 colorless/generic mana. The Legend of Arena can be your commander. What a weird concept, right? So obviously, if this enchantment is acting as your commander, it's presumably going to work under the exact same rules as other commander cards. Every time you want to cast it, you're going to have to pay 2 additional for each time it's gone back to your command zone. You'll be able to return it to your command zone when it would normally hit your graveyard. And interestingly enough, this is a saga. If you were around during the time of Dominaria, that's when saga cards were birthed. The concept behind sagas is they're supposed to be essentially a story, right? That's the idea behind it, is every saga is an actual like big, long kind of story, but condensed into 1 card and done in multiple acts, kind of almost like a play, it's a cool concept. This style of card was actually designed by Richard Garfield when he returned to Magic to help out with Dominaria. So how it works is when you first put out the card, you end up doing the first ability on the card. So you cast the card, you put it out, and you do the number 1 ability, which is create a 2/2 red human wizard creature token. Spells you cast this turn cost 1 less to cast for each wizard you control. Pretty straightforward, right? I mean, obviously, you just make a token, and presumably if you have nothing else out, it'll reduce all the rest of your spells for the turn by 1 mana. Not too shabby. I mean, if you play it on the first turn and use up all your mana, then obviously it's not really going to do much for you other than put a token out. But then on your next turn, it does the same thing. It does it once each turn, your turn. You'll get to move to the next chapter, the next act, depending on how you want to look at it. So Act 2 for this is actually to do a repeat of Act 1. You create another 2/1 red human wizard creature token, and spells you cast cost 1 less for each wizard you have out. So if you still have your previous wizard, the second turn is actually going to reduce all your spell costs by 2. That is not too shabby. Number 3, Act 3. Search your library for a Planeswalker card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It enters with an additional loyalty counter on it for each wizard you control. Now, how these sagas work is once you do the final ability on the card, you actually end up sacrificing the saga. So in this case, you would go find a planeswalker, put it onto the battlefield. It gets a bonus loyalty counter for each wizard you have. So even if you just have the first 2 tokens, you're going to be able to go and get any planeswalker you want at all, and it's going to come out with a bonus 2 loyalty. If you have some more wizards out, then obviously you might be able to get your planeswalkers to ultimate in the first turn. And interestingly enough, as I said, when one of these sagas runs out of acts to go through, once you do the final act, then the card gets sacrificed. And what does that mean? Well, for most enchantments, that means put it in the graveyard. But since the Legend of Arena can be your commander, if you actually have it as your commander, you can have it go right back to the command zone, and you can cast it again for 2 more mana, right? Actually, there's an interesting concept where depending on the number of wizard tokens you have out and the way you use this, you could reduce the additional costs very easily, right? Like those 2 wizards that you have out would basically be, if you would cast this, if there's some way that you have a ton of mana and you could recast this multiple times in a turn and somehow like add counters to it to keep it moving along into the different phases, because that's how you mark each act is with a counter. So if you did have something like proliferate, you could theoretically proliferate it through multiple phases in the same turn and recast it from your commander zone, from the command zone again and again, reducing its cost. So that's pretty funky overall. The artwork shows a circle of mages. They are bent down in essentially a ritual that is empowering a massively powerful wizard. Obviously, we're going to be thinking of this wizard as a planeswalker. If you look at it, you've got all the wizards who are bowed down, creating this gigantic magical entity, summoning him into being, empowering him. However you want to look at it, it could be a ritual of summoning that is bringing the planeswalker there while also empowering them. It could theoretically be the creation of the being. You can see all the motes of magical energy that are flying in towards this planeswalker being. Now, admittedly, the artwork isn't in like the best resolution here. We'll probably have to wait until the future to see a better resolution version. But if you actually look down towards the waist of the overpowerful planeswalker there, you'll actually see what looks like the planeswalker symbol, which I think is a nice little touch. It makes perfect sense. It's a nod to Arena. When you see that symbol, when you see the planeswalker symbol, it very much feels tied to Magic Arena. They've done a good job of branding it in that regard. Now, this was originally posted on Reddit, and below it, there was somebody posted basically a summary of the concept behind the card, which was then confirmed by Wizard staff. So the first two abilities represent the first 2 decades or 2 chapters of Magic, and it had the game building a passionate player base. That's represented by the red wizard tokens. The red wizard tokens represent the passionate player base. They financially supported Wizards of the Coast, and that's the make your spells cheaper kind of concept. The 3rd decade, otherwise known as 3rd chapter, had Arena bring in a game-changing new audience, Planeswalker, who were encouraged to jump in by the long-term fan base, more loyalty counters for each wizard you control. So that is a summary of the card that was posted by Reddit user ToxyToxy, and then Ben Finkel, who actually, you'll see his name on the bottom of this card, actually. He confirms, he says, yeah, that's pretty much the story that ended up driving the card design. So it may not be the exact, word for word concept that they had come up with for the card, like exactly, but it's close enough that Ben felt no need to actually go ahead and clarify any sort of differeces. And you can see how that makes sense. I mean, the 2/1 red wizard tokens representing passionate wizards, that makes perfect sense. The reduction of spell casts basically being the players financially supporting wizards, that all makes sense. The idea of the planeswalkers, the Arena planeswalker part, I mean, it fits, I suppose. It's a little bit but I mean, overall, I dig the artwork. The idea of a bunch of wizards getting together to summon and empower a greater being is very, very flavorful. The idea of this being your commander is cool too. It does honestly have a bit of an unfeel to it with the Legend of Arena can be your commander part, but then the powers of the card, there's no unfeeling to it at all. It's just, wow, this is a powerhouse card that you would clearly build some sort of wizard tribal around, right? I mean, I imagine That's what most people would want to do with it, build some kind of wizard tribal, although theoretically you could build a different kind of deck as well. Either way, the card looks fantastic. The artwork looks very great. The concept behind the card is nicely done. Overall, I just wanted to come and share this card with you guys because I saw it. I find it exciting. I like new Magic cards. I don't know about you guys. I assume you do too, because it's a lot of fun to see the newness. So that's really all I have to say about that for now. I do have a second channel where we are making fun and silly videos, and I encourage you to come on over and check it out. I'm going to go ahead and link that here at the end of the video. I'll also link the other Heroes of the Realm video. That way, if you want to see what the card backs look like or what the other 3 cards that are part of this 4-card series for this year are, you can check that link out as well. So thanks for coming by and hanging out, my friends. It's always nice to see you. Big shout out to my patrons and channel members. You guys are absolutely fantastic. And remember, together, we are the 6th color of magic.